This is SOSF. Alright, let's get weird, grab something to drink. So, check this out. The other night I was falling down one of those internet rabbit holes. You know how it goes. Started on some crazy video of a bear, and 3 hours later I'm watching these nature documentaries. And you see the usual stuff, right? The lion hunts the gazelle. The eagle snags a fish. The whole circle of life thing. It's brutal, it's beautiful, it's just. But then you see these other clips, stuff that doesn't quite fit. You see an animal doing something that seems off. Something that's not just about survival. It's calculated. It's cruel. It makes you lean into the screen and go, what the hell was that? And it got me thinking. We have this idea that animals are pure, you know? That they're just acting on instinct. But what if that's not the whole story? What if some of them are just jerks? What if some of them are the animal equivalent of a psychopath? It sounds like a crazy sci-fi movie idea, right? But some really smart people, biologists and primatologists and guys who spend their entire lives just watching these animals, are starting to say, yeah, maybe. They're looking at our closest relatives, chimpanzees, and other big-brained animals like dolphins and wolves, and they're seeing a pattern. A personality type that looks eerily familiar. A personality that's cold, manipulative, and doesn't play by the rules. Now, before we go slapping human labels on a grizzly bear, these scientists have a system. They've basically broken down the human idea of psychopathy into 3 core ingredients that you can actually observe in animals. You can't ask a chimp how he feels, but you can watch what he does. The first ingredient is what they call disinhibition. This is the complete lack of an internal brake pedal. It's pure impulse. You know that friend you have who just has no filter and no off switch? The one who sees the whole cake on the counter and just eats the whole damn cake? Or sees a dumb dare and just does it without thinking? That's disinhibition. In the animal world, it's reckless risk-taking. It's the chimp that picks a fight with the biggest guy in the troop for no good reason, or the wolf that just can't stop itself from going after something at once, even when the risk is huge. No foresight, no planning, just pure, raw impulse. The second ingredient is meanness. And man, this is the one that gets dark. This is the core of it. This is the cold part. It's a profound, bottomless lack of empathy. Think about it. Most social animals have some level of empathy. They can tell when another member of their group is scared or hurt. It's what holds the group together. But an animal high in meanness, it's like that whole empathy circuit in their brain is just switched off. They see another animal in pain, and they feel nothing. Or worse, maybe they feel good. This is where you get the manipulation, the backstabbing, the bullying, the cruelty for cruelty's sake. It's using and exploiting others without a second thought. It's a total disregard for the well-being of anyone else. And the third ingredient is boldness. This is the swagger, the absolute fearlessness. These are the individuals who are cool as a cucumber in situations that would make anyone else panic. They stare danger in the face and don't flinch. In the wild, this could be the animal that isn't afraid of new things, the one that will walk right up to a dominant, terrifying alpha, or the one that keeps trying something even after it gets punished or hurt. It's this rock-solid self-assurance, this inability to be intimidated. So you take those 3 things, no brakes, disinhibition, no heart, meanness, and no fear, boldness, and you mix them together. In humans, that's the recipe for a psychopath. And the crazy thing is, scientists are finding this exact recipe in the animal kingdom. Let's start with our closest cousins, chimpanzees. We share something like 98% of our DNA with these guys. They're incredibly smart. They have complex social lives, politics, friendships, betrayals. It's like a hairy, non-stop soap opera. Because they're so similar to us, they're the perfect place to look for these traits. And boy, have they found them. There's this legendary primatologist, Frans de Waal. This guy is like the godfather of chimp watching. He's spent decades living with them, and he tells this story about a female chimp in his colony that he straight up described as two-faced and mean deceitful. This chimp would start a fight, and then when the big males came to break it up, she would pretend to make up with her victim, grooming them and acting all nicey nice until the coast was clear, and then she'd go right back to terrorizing them. She was running a scam. She was manipulating the system. That's pure meanness. But it gets so much darker. There's a documented case, and this is chilling stuff, of a mother-daughter chimpanzee duo. A team. Over several years, they worked together to kill at least 3 infants in their own community. They would snatch the baby from its mother, beat it, break its limbs, and then just sit there and watch it die. They weren't starving. They didn't always eat the bodies. This wasn't about food. It wasn't about climbing the social ladder in a normal way. This was something else. This was violence that went beyond the normal rules of chimpanzee life. It was gratuitous, callous cruelty. It was empowerment through destruction. When you look at that behavior through the lens of that 3-part model, it ticks all the boxes. The boldness to attack another mother, the lack of impulse control to stop, and the chilling, absolute meanness to carry it out. And it's not just anecdotal stories. Researchers have developed actual, standardized tests, like a personality questionnaire for chimps, that their caretakers can fill out. And they've confirmed that these traits, boldness, meanness, disinhibition, are real, measurable, and stable parts of a chimp's personality. Some chimps are just born different. Okay, so chimps, that kind of makes sense. They're primates, they're like us. But what if I told you we're seeing the same pattern in an animal that couldn't be more different? An animal that evolved in a totally separate world, the ocean. Let's talk about dolphins. Everyone loves dolphins, right? They're flipper. They're the smiling, happy geniuses of the sea. Their brains are huge, second only to ours in terms of brain-to-body ratio. And their cortex is even more wrinkly and folded than a human's, which means incredible processing power. They live these amazingly complex social lives, but that big brain that lets them learn tricks and communicate also gives them the hardware for being a psychopath. Recently, scientists did this huge personality study on 134 bottlenose dolphins, and they found this one personality trait that stood out, a whole category of behavior they ended up labeling disagreeableness. That's the actual scientific term they used, and the words they used to describe this trait were things like aggressive, jealous, and despotic. This disagreeableness factor is an almost perfect match for the meanness dimension in humans. It's a stable, measurable tendency to be a cold, antagonistic jerk. And once you know that, the behavior that people have seen for years starts to make a horrifying kind of sense. You hear about male dolphins forming these gangs, these alliances. They'll work together to cut a female off from her family pod, and they'll hold her captive, sometimes for weeks, mating with her by force. It's coordinated, coercive, and completely exploitative. Then there's the infanticide. Male dolphins have been seen deliberately attacking and killing calves. The thinking is that this brings the mother back into heat faster, so the male can mate with her. It's a ruthless reproductive strategy that shows zero regard for the female or her offspring. It's winning at all costs, and it's not just within their own species. Dolphins have been seen engaging in what looks like pure, gratuitous violence. They're known to kill porpoises, not to eat them, but just to kill them. There are accounts of pods of dolphins finding a baby shark and using it as a volleyball, tossing it back and forth in the air until it dies. For sport. What possible survival reason is there for that? It's hard to see it as anything other than a capacity for cruelty, for enjoying the suffering of another creature. It's the meanness and disinhibition playing out in the open ocean. So now we have this pattern in a primate and a marine mammal, two species that split off from our family tree almost 100 million years ago. Finding the same complex psychological profile in both is insane. It suggests this isn't some weird fluke of primate evolution. It's a fundamental strategy for life that can pop up anywhere there's enough intelligence and social complexity to support it. And to round it out, let's look at a third group, social hunters. Let's talk about wolves. The wolf pack is this incredible unit built on hierarchy, communication, and most importantly, cooperation. They have to work together to hunt big game and defend their territory. But even in this tight-knit society, there are outliers. Seasoned wolf biologists, people who have spent a lifetime in the wild watching these animals, will tell you that some wolves are just different. They're exceptionally violent, brutal individuals. The researchers themselves, talking off the record, will sometimes call these wolves the psychopaths of the pack. And now, we have the science to back it up. A massive study was done on the wolves that were reintroduced into Yellowstone National Park. Because they've been tracking these wolves for generations, they have a complete family tree, a pedigree for the whole population. And they looked at one specific behavior, aggression towards other packs. It's a key antisocial behavior. And what they found was stunning. The tendency for a wolf to be hyper-aggressive is significantly heritable. They found a genetic component. You can be born with a predisposition to be an aggressive, antisocial wolf. It's in your DNA. This is huge. It shows that this isn't just about a tough upbringing or a bad environment. It's a biological reality. And you can see these traits pop up in other ways. Think about wolves that get too used to people. They lose their natural fear. That's boldness. And those are the most dangerous wolves, because then they start treating humans like they're part of the pack, using their normal dominance games, which include aggression, on people. Or think about a wolf that's been fed by tourists. If one day it shows up and doesn't get its hand out, it can flip a switch from begging to attacking. That's a failure of impulse control. That's disinhibition. So you see the pattern. Chimps, dolphins, wolves. Three completely different animals, three different worlds, but the same dark personality keeps emerging. Bold, mean, and impulsive. It's a recurring theme in nature. This brings up the big question, the million-dollar question. Why? Why would evolution keep something like this around? A personality that seems designed to destroy the very social groups it lives in? You'd think natural selection would have stamped this out ages ago. If you're a lying, cheating, violent jerk, your buddies are eventually going to kick you out of the group or kill you, right? You're not going to pass on your genes. Well, this is where it gets really fascinating. Scientists use something called evolutionary game theory to figure this stuff out. And it's not as complicated as it sounds. Imagine a poker game. The whole world is a poker game. Most of the players are cooperators. They play by the rules. They're generally honest. They build a pot together, and everyone benefits a little bit. They are the foundation of society. But then, at the table, you have a few cheaters. These are our psychopaths. They don't care about the rules. They only care about winning. Now, think about the math. If you have one cheater at a table full of 9 trusting cooperators, who do you think is going to walk away with all the money? The cheater, every single time. He's running bluffs, he's exploiting their trust, he's taking every pot. In a world full of nice guys, the psychopath wins big. But what happens if the number of cheaters starts to go up? What if the table is now 5 cheaters and 5 cooperators? It gets harder. The cheaters start running into each other. Their tricks don't work as well. Now, what if it's 9 cheaters and 1 cooperator? The game completely falls apart. Nobody trusts anybody. Cooperation is dead. There are no more pots to win because the foundation of trust is gone. The cheaters starve. So, evolution, in its infinite wisdom, runs the numbers. And it figures out that the most stable system, the one that works over millions of years, isn't a world with 100% cooperators. That's too easy to invade and exploit. And it's not a world of 100% cheaters, because that just collapses. The most stable strategy is a world that is mostly cooperators, with a small, persistent minority of cheaters. The psychopaths don't get weeded out because, at a low frequency, it's a successful strategy. They are, in the cold, hard language of biology, a stable evolutionary strategy. There's not a bug in the system. They're a feature. They are the mathematically predictable dark side of social life. And we're even starting to find the biological hardware for it. We know that empathy in humans is tied to a network in the brain, the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, all these bits that light up when we see someone else in pain. It's a system that likely evolved from the bond between a mother and a baby. You need to be able to sense when your kid is in distress. Over time, that system got stretched to include family, friends, and our whole tribe. In human psychopaths, that brain circuitry is different. The wiring is off. The connection between the emotional centers and the decision-making centers is weak. When they see someone get hurt, the parts of their brain that should be screaming danger or pain are quiet. Because the brain structures are so similar across all mammals, there's no reason to think a chimp or a dolphin couldn't have the same faulty wiring. They've even found a potential gene for it in chimps, a gene that regulates a hormone called vasopressin, which is all about social behavior and aggression. And certain versions of this gene were linked to higher levels of boldness and disinhibition. But here's the kicker, the part that really blows your mind. This gene only had an effect in chimps who were raised normally by their mothers in a social group. In chimps who were raised by humans in a nursery, the gene did nothing. Think about what that means. It's not a psychopath gene that's just on or off. It's a genetic potential that needs a specific social environment to be activated. The strategy is designed to work within a normal, complex society. It's built to exploit the rules of a functioning group. It's not nature or nurture. It's nature designed for a specific nurture. It's a stunningly complex and sinister adaptation. So, if you have these cheaters running around in your society, what does that do to the group? Well, on the one hand, it's a nightmare. It creates stress, conflict, and it erodes the trust that holds everything together. A group with too many psychopaths would just tear itself apart. But here's the biggest twist in this whole story. The thing that really scrambled my egg. Having these psychopaths around might be the very reason the rest of us got so smart. Think about it. Imagine you're an early human, or a chimp, living in a small group. Life is simple. Everyone is a cooperator. You don't have to think too hard. But then one day, a cheater is born. Someone who lies. Someone who steals your food. Someone who manipulates you. Your simple, trusting world is shattered. What do you have to do to survive now? You have to get smarter. You have to develop a cheater detection system. You have to start remembering who did what to whom. You have to be able to read subtle intentions in people's faces. You have to develop a sense of justice and a desire to punish the rule breakers. You have to start forming alliances with other cooperators to protect yourselves from the cheaters. Essentially, you have to level up your entire social and cognitive game. This becomes an evolutionary arms race. The cheaters get better at cheating, and the cooperators get better at detecting and punishing them. And this relentless, back-and-forth pressure cooker of suspicion and strategy might have been one of the primary engines that drove the massive expansion of our brains. Our incredible social intelligence, our ability to gossip, to track reputations, to think about what other people are thinking, may have been forged in the fire of having to constantly outwit the psychopath in our midst. It's a crazy thought, isn't it? That the dark side isn't just a flaw, but a catalyst that made us who we are. And that, for me, is where this whole thing comes home. This isn't just about animals. This holds a mirror up to us. For centuries, we've debated the nature of evil. We've blamed it on free will, on demons, on a fallen human nature. We've always seen it as a uniquely human problem. But what if it's not? What if the capacity for cold, calculated, unemotional evil is not a human invention at all, but a deep, ancient, biological strategy that we share with dolphins and chimps? What if a human psychopath is just running a highly intelligent version of the same cheater software? This throws a wrench into everything. Our entire legal system is built on the idea that people choose their actions. But if you have a brain that is biologically incapable of feeling empathy, a brain that is wired differently from birth, did you really choose to be that way? How do you hold someone morally responsible for their broken brain wiring? This is a huge, thorny problem for philosophy, for law, for how we structure our entire society. It pushes us away from thinking about blame and punishment and more towards thinking about risk and management. You can't blame a wolf for having the genes for aggression, but you still have to protect the sheep. The existence of the animal psychopath forces us to look at the world differently. It shatters the romantic illusion of a peaceful, balanced state of nature. It reveals that the wild is not just a struggle between species, but a complex strategic game being played within them. And it dismantles the last pillar of human exceptionalism. We thought we were special because of our tool use. Then we saw chimps using tools. We thought we were special because of our culture. Then we saw orcas with complex cultural traditions. Now we think we might be special because of our capacity for evil. But maybe we're not even unique in that. Maybe our darkness is just as natural as our light. So, what we're left with is this incredible, and frankly unsettling, new picture of life. The psychopath isn't an anomaly or a mistake. They are a fundamental, recurring, and maybe even necessary part of any advanced social system. They are the evolutionary price we pay for the benefits of living together. The constant threat they pose might just be the invisible force that keeps the rest of society sharp, intelligent, and bound together in a common defense. They are the predator within, the monster in the village that makes the villagers stronger. It's a powerful and humbling idea. To understand the antisocial dolphin or the manipulative chimp is to understand that the struggle between good and evil, between cooperation and exploitation, isn't a human drama. It's a biological dilemma, as old as social life itself, written into the code of our planet. And we're just playing out the latest, most complicated version of that ancient game. It leaves you with a final, massive question. A real brain melter to chew on. This whole model is based on an arms race, a balance between the cooperators and the cheaters. That internal conflict made us smarter, more complex. So here's the thought experiment. What if we ever win? With genetic engineering and advanced neuroscience on the horizon, what if we one day gain the ability to screen for these traits? What if we could create a perfect society? A world with no psychopaths, a world with only cooperators? Would that society finally be a utopia? Or would it be a fragile, naive paradise, completely unprepared and utterly defenseless when, inevitably, a new cheater emerges? Would removing our inner demons also remove the very thing that makes us so resilient? See you next time.